All right. Well, welcome everyone to the He Gets Us training and information session. I'm really excited to have with me tonight Randy Larson, who is with Glue. They are the powerhouse behind the He Gets Us campaign and all those beautiful ads that you've seen and that people have undoubtedly been talking to you about. And so I've invited him to come and join me tonight on this information session because he really knows everything about obviously this campaign and how to get us all registered for it if we want to participate as what I'm lovingly referring to as first responders for all of these digital seekers, these digital explorers who come wanting to know more from what they have seen and heard in this He Gets Us campaign. So you're going to learn tonight about how safe this is to be one of these responders to these explorers. It's not your phone number that's going to go out. They're going to give us a phone number we can use. You're going to learn how you can do this by yourself if you want to just do it by yourself and represent your geographic area. You're also going to learn how you can do it as part of a church where a church would sign up, just like you might sign up for Alpha, but then you can't run Alpha unless you have a team, right? So then a church might sign up, but then you'll have a team of people and you'd all be sharing that same phone number that's given to you to text back and forth with to these explorers. And so then if you have a team, more hands make light work, right? So you want to get more people on that team with you so that you're not the one who's responding every single day. So I think I'm just going to turn it over now to Randy. He's going to, introduce himself, introduce He Gets Us, talk about how we can get registered, what the training looks like. And when we feel like we've sort of given a lot of information your way, and we're going to open it up for Q&A for all the things that we've missed. Okay. So, welcome, Randy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm in Denver, Colorado, but I was actually in Philly this morning, meeting with another group of pastors out there. But wanted to give you a little bit of background on me. I have been in full-time ministry almost 20 years in many different forms, from youth ministry to worship leading to executive pastor and teaching pastor. I came out to Denver about 7 years ago to be a teaching pastor out here. And I had a couple people in my congregation that worked for this company called Glue. That's spelt really funny, Gloo. And it's a tech company that wants to come alongside churches and build really powerful resources so that we as followers of Jesus can reach people in a digital culture. So I joined the team about 2.5 years ago, and have been really excited I get to travel the country telling churches about some of these resources that are going on. So is there anybody here tonight that hasn't seen a He Gets Us ad on television, either during an NFL game, during prime time? Anybody that hasn't seen one? Okay, there are a couple. So I'm going to share my screen and just show you one of the ads. This ad was actually running during the NFC and AFC football games last week. So let me pull that up. Are you able to see my screen? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I responded to the call.
I didn't know if he was guilty or not.
I couldn't ignore public opinion.
I
We're
got
seeing the
caught
QR
up
code.
in the
Is that
emotion
what
of the
Just the
trial.
QR code, not the video.
Oh,
But I got scared. I'm expected to be tough on crime.
I know my son.
one second. I must have picked the wrong share. There we go. Let's try this again.
I responded to the call.
I didn't know if he was guilty or not.
I couldn't ignore public opinion.
I got caught up in the emotion of the trial.
I could have testified, but I got scared. I'm expected to be tough on crime.
I know my son. What's things?
I will never forget his final words. Forgive them.
So this is an ad that's running during prime time. The idea is for it to be a little bit different, a little bit engaging. Most people are watching the ads thinking, what is this all about? What is the selling? What is the product? What is the service behind it? And then it always has kind of a catch that creates some curiosity. So when people will go from there to hegetsus.com and learn more. But before I go in a little further, I want to try an experiment with you. So I actually, if you guys could all unmute for just a second, I want to try an experiment. And the experiment is this: I'm going to start a sentence, and I want you to end it. And my theory is that all of you will be able to end this sentence. Okay, I'm going to say 3 words, and you're going to say the last 2. Are you guys willing to try it?
Yeah.
It's gonna seem a little odd, but it'll make sense here in a second. So here we go. Milk does a
Body good.
Good.
body good. How do we all know that?
Commercial.
Yeah,
Repetition.
the Got Milk campaign, right? And
Yeah.
how long ago did the Got Milk campaign run?
20 years.
Yeah, maybe 2 decades ago. I haven't seen one in forever, but we could do the same experiment in Los Angeles. We could do the same experiment in Denver, and everybody would be able to end that sentence, right? Does anybody remember? You guys can go ahead and mute. The really interesting thing about the Got Milk campaign is that it didn't represent a single brand of milk. It wasn't Land O'Lakes. It wasn't Horizon. It actually was started by a network of dairy farmers that were all concerned that milk consumption was going down in the 90s. And they said, we have to do something about this. So they came together with a marketing company and came up with a collaborative ad campaign where they would go and find Michael Jordan. For some reason, I remember Cindy Crawford's milk mustache more than anybody else's. But they just had this simple message: milk does a body good. And then all of the dairy farmers across the country benefited from this one ad. Well, He Gets Us wants to do the same thing. It was started by a group of Christian businessmen and women that have been looking at the stats that Christianity is on a decline, that attendance is down, people are less and less interested in the church. And they said, not on our watch. We're gonna take the resources that we have. We're going to have, of all of the companies and products that we've gotten out into market, the one brand that we want people to know more than anything is Jesus. Just Jesus, not the Baptist Jesus, not the Methodist Jesus, not the Black Jesus or the white Jesus, just Jesus. So they came up with this idea of He Gets Us. And my hope is that 2 decades from now, that we could stand in any room in America and say He gets, and the whole country would say us, right? So I'm going to share my screen again. Where did it go? There we go. Where did it go? Sorry, I'm having a hard time with Zoom today. There we go. So this group of people that put together He Gets Us, they started this project with research. They went to 8,000 people across the country, and they asked them questions about Christianity, about church, what do they feel about Jesus? And you'll see on the left side here, a lot of the same statistics that have come out of like Barna research, Gallup research. Christianity has a rough reputation. We're not known for our love or compassion. We're known for hypocrisy and judgment. People have had a lot of bad experiences with the church. But the really interesting thing that should give us hope is that out of this research, Although people said they struggle with trusting the church and Christianity, 54% said they're actually really curious about Jesus, because somehow they know Jesus is for everybody. He loves everyone. His teachings are positive and for society, and we should follow them. And if Jesus can help them in their felt needs, in their anxiety or their depression or their relationship issues, they're interested in learning more about him. So as leaders in the church, we really have this real massive challenge in culture right now. And it's this question: what do we do with a culture that doesn't trust the church, but is interested in Jesus? What do we do with that? I really believe that we can follow the example of Jesus and the Apostle Paul, because Jesus, as he came to meet with people that were hurting and struggling, he just spoke to them where they were. So if they were farmers, he used agriculture stories. If he was talking to fishermen, he used fish stories. Paul used a whole different technique when he was speaking to people in synagogue than when he was in the marketplace. So we are living in a digital world. The average person is spending 5 to 6 hours a day on their phone or in front of a screen. And our screens are not just a device that we use, but many sociologists talk about how our phones are in our inner circle. We have almost a relationship with our phone, in that we interact with it, but it also interacts with us, suggesting things to read, to purchase, things that we might have some interest in. So if we are going to reach a digital culture, then we need to have a digital message. So we've been running He Gets Us for about 18 months now. And when we started, we really didn't know if this message was going to land. And we've been really pleasantly surprised that on the YouTube channel, the He Gets Us YouTube channel, there's been over 411 million views of the ads. The impressions that have come on social media, television, are 4.8 billion. Many people are coming to the HeGetsUs.com website asking for prayer. One real great highlight that came out of this is many people came and said, where in the Bible does it say that Jesus was wrongly judged? What Bible verse inspired the idea that Jesus was born to a teen mom? So we worked with the YouVersion app to build this He Gets Us reading plan. So people are now starting to read the Bible because of a television ad that they saw during a football game.
Okay.
So the thing that really excites me, though, and you guys know this as well in Alpha, is that I really believe the best way to learn about Jesus is to walk with somebody that already knows him. And this is where my company Glue comes in. We are the technology behind He Gets Us. So when someone goes to the He Gets Us website and says, hey, I'd really like to talk to someone, we connect them to a participating local church. It's kind of the same way that Uber connects people that need a ride with people that can give a ride. If I pull out my phone right now and I say I need a ride, the closest driver to me is going to get pinged and say, hey, do you want to pick this person up? Glue is to the outreach world what Uber is to the transportation world. So to date, we have connected 105,000 people to local churches through He Gets Us and some other outreach partners as well. We have about 17,000 churches nationwide that are participating with us. We probably need 3 times that because of the amount of explorers responding to the ads. And I'll get into this later, but Philly is one of the cities that has way more explorers, people that are interested and curious about Jesus, or have some felt needs that they want help with. But we just don't have enough churches to follow up with them.
Excuse me, can I just ask everybody to mute, please, just so that we don't get the feedback? We're getting a little bit of feedback. Thanks.
You may have heard about this, even in the sign up, that there's going to be He Gets Us ads in the Super Bowl. We're going to have one 30-second spot and one 60-second spot, which is really, really exciting. And I can't show you the ads because we kind of keep those under lock and key until the day of, but I can tell you what is going to be the theme. The first one will have kind of a heartwarming feel to it. And it'll be about recapturing the unconditional love of children and inspire us to have a childlike approach to relationships and to life. We've all gotten a little calloused and a little skeptical and just standoffish. And what would it look like for us to embrace a childlike spirit again? The second ad is going to be more about confrontation. It's going to be more challenging, a little more in your face. It's going to be about how Jesus responded to disagreements in a different way. And that in our culture right now, people either, when it comes to confrontation, they get really angry and they get loud, or they have a lot of apathy and they bury their head in the sand. But Jesus had this third way, which was to love your enemies, to turn the other cheek. So we really believe it's going to be a talking point Monday morning. I'm going to show you this video that talks about some of the different resources we put together, some of the trainings, different ways that you can interact with He Gets Us. And then I'll talk about how to get signed up, and then we can, if there's any questions, we can address those as well.
There's a new movement happening in the country to reclaim the promise of Jesus's unconditional love and grace, and to see His church rise above cultural tensions. He Gets Us hopes to give it a voice. The biggest faith campaign in history, He Gets Us invites a rapidly growing audience, from spiritual explorers to like-minded Christians, to reconsider the radical life of Jesus. And whatever people might hear or think or read about Jesus, they're invited to consider His example for themselves. Now, your church has free access to dozens of He Gets Us media assets, prayer and discussion guides, sermon series, and even apparel. This growing list of resources will equip your congregation to be ready to reflect Jesus to those they influence. So join us and thousands of churches with this unprecedented campaign to reach and change lives like never before.
So I'm going to pull up this QR code. I'd love for you to grab your phones and scan it. One of the really exciting things about this is that running ads during NFL games, during Super Bowls, the cost of that is astronomical. It's more than most churches' outreach budgets combined. But the people behind He Gets Us are really generous, kingdom-minded donors that notice the point where we're at in our culture right now. So they have gone ahead and paid for 12-month scholarships for any church in America that wants to participate in this right now. So no cost to you as an individual, no cost to your church, just an opportunity to connect with people that are really looking for hope, looking for direction, want to interact with someone that is good at listening. And I know if you're trained for Alpha, this is perfect for you, because you know how to sit with people in their pain, sit with people in their questions. So why don't we, I'm going to leave this up, but if you have questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll try to address them as you guys are getting signed up. The second half of this, I'm actually going to go into the Glue app, and I'm going to show you where you'll see explorers, how to set up your account. So it would be great if you could get your account set up right now and kind of walk alongside me while I'm showing you how to receive explorers. We paused your account for 48 hours just for you to get familiar with it, and then you'll start getting notifications in your email letting you know, hey, there's an explorer that's waiting for you. So yeah, go ahead. If you have questions about He Gets Us, go ahead and drop them in the chat for me.
So Randy, let me just kick off with a question, because I know some of the folks on this team, on this call, belong to,
yellow.
but can you guys mute if you're not, can you guys mute right now? One question, and then, because this might help all of you. I can recognize different folks on this call who are all part of the same church. And I know that Matt Hartman has his group is going to, he has a whole group from his church. And then
Yep.
we can see Gettysburg Foursquare already there, already sitting there together. So what
Yep.
approach would you like us to take if we, oh, and Matt has popped it in already. If we're signing up as a church, should we sign up individually? You said it in far fewer words than I could have, Matt. So yeah, that's the question for right now.
Great. Yeah. So if you are here with a group, all you need is one account for your church. And in a moment here, I'll show you how to add extra people to your team, which I actually really encourage you to do, to kind of share the load, if you're here with a group. So yeah, you only need one account per church. And in a minute here, I'll show you how to add people to your group. So great question. You can also sign up as just an individual. If you're not doing this with your church, if you're Alpha trained and you're like, in between my Alpha courses, I would love to just talk to people that have questions. You can sign up as an individual as well. Okay. Mary Jane, yeah, you definitely hold on to the link, and when you can share it with your church, that way they can get the scholarship. You don't have to sign up tonight.
Yeah, and there's the billing question that sometimes it pops up when I just redid mine today. It says there's a billing and then it zeroes out at the bottom. I think so. I just did it again today on our new account that's all sort of linked. We have a network of Alpha Mid-Atlantic churches that are linked here, and then you'll just creating your sub accounts. But the price tag was zeroed out at the end. I don't know if you guys see that if you're okay. There's a question here also about the overwhelming occurrence of teen suicide right now. Are there resources that you guys provide for us as responders to refer these troubled teens or adults?
Yes, so we early on, when we started doing this, we were blown away by how many of the explorers were really wrestling with either minor or major mental health crisis, and we're seeing that across the country now, that people are really have mild anxiety, mild depression, to even really strong addiction. Many churches were saying, wow, we love that we're connecting with people that really need the hope of Jesus, but we feel a little ill-equipped. So we have a partnership with the American Association of Christian Counselors, and actually within the app in your, I'll show you how to get to it in a little bit, but there's all kinds of resources on mental health first aid, how to come alongside someone that's struggling. We even have, I'll show you when we get into the app, some suggested ways to respond to mental health crisis that are already written out that you can kind of cut and paste into the response.
Thank you. Might I suggest also that rather than calling out all the different churches that I see here, if you see, and go ahead and scroll, we're 2 pages of Hollywood Squares here. If you see other folks from your church, would one of you just pop in the chat, I'll take the lead. Tell me, Randy, if this is a good approach. I'll take the lead in setting up the church account, and then should they be inviting the others, or would they, what's the next step then?
Yeah, so have the one person set it up, and then here in 5 minutes, I'll show you how to invite people.
Okay.
Good question.
I'm looking at you, Philip Ellsworth.
Bonnie, are you setting it up for Good Samaritan?
I think, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that might confuse things if I'm already the network person. I think we need someone else to be the church person for our church.
Is Philip doing it? If Philip's not doing it, I can do it. Like Philip doesn't have anything else to do, really.
Exactly. Philip, I'd say yes as fast as you can.
Hooray, Mary.
Whoever said that.
Philip, you're on mute. I would say yes real quick, though.
Yes.
Pastor Jonathan just reminded me, one of the things that we have with American Association of Christian Counselors is they have about a 40-hour mental health first aid course that they offer on their website. And they've offered scholarships for that for anybody that wants to take that. So if you have interest in that, go ahead and reach out to me and I can get you the code for that.
Maria had a great question just for me personally, but I have to answer it for everybody. If we've just decided to create an Alpha course, but we haven't really started yet, can we still get started with He Gets Us? Absolutely, absolutely. And if you somehow got this email, either because you're on my mailing list or because somebody forwarded it to you and you have a heart for reaching people with Jesus, absolutely, you can get involved with He Gets Us and just be a part of this larger network that we're creating here. So thank you for that great question. And then the network person, is the Alpha response person different from the church person? I think what we're talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, is that we're going to have one person sort of set up the church account if you have a bunch of folks from the same church,
Yep.
but then all of you will have the opportunity to respond, and maybe you'll just set up a rotation, like if you like you might have a rotation for being ushers at your church. Every week somebody takes it in turn.
Mhm.
Maybe every other day you switch it up and everybody on your team serves one day of the week, something like that. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, and I've seen churches do it a couple different ways. There's one church in downtown Kansas City that Pastor Brooks has put together 10 to 12 people, and they just have days that they respond to the Explorer on their days. There's another pastor, Jordan. He has people that, if they've gone through some stuff with parenting, and some of the explorers are saying, man, I have a kid who's struggling with addiction, or I really want you to pray for my kids. He'll direct those explorers to the life experience of the responder. If someone is a trained counselor, he'll send more of the mental health things to them. So he'll pair the explorer to the background of the person responding. So there's multiple ways to set it up. Any other questions before I jump into? how
And
this works?
can I explain my question? It seemed confusing.
Sure.
So, Bonnie, when you said that you're the network person, so from my understanding, like somebody is a seeker or an explorer will have a couple options when they go to the website. One is to be plugged into a local Alpha course, right? So if they're in our demographic region, they'll be pointed to our course. So is there also a point of contact for that?
That would be Jonathan, right? Pastor Jonathan, I'm not sure exactly. So what is the so let me back up. When I said network, I just meant that if you just decided that, and you weren't a part of this, and you said, oh, I just want to be one of these responders to these explorers, and you went on Glue's website, you would, when you went to sign up, you would see three options. Are you are you coordinating on behalf of a church? Is it just you yourself, or are you part of a network of churches?
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant by the word network. So
That makes sense.
I have registered us as, we've all found out about this because of Alpha's connection, Alpha Mid-Atlantic's connection with Glue. And so we're kind of working as a very, very loose network. That's how I meant that word. But that's a great question. So is there a way that if an explorer wants to go to your Alpha course, that the church finds out that it's through He Gets Us, or does it just happen if they happen to register to be in the course?
There's kind of two ways that they could end up in an Alpha course. One is when they go to hegetsus.com, one of the options is, would you like to join a class to learn more about Jesus? And then that will just get routed to the closest Alpha course that is in the Alpha database. The other option is that you could interact with them as an individual just listen, pray with them, encourage them. And then sometimes the jump to a church is just too extreme. So you could say, hey, why don't you come to Alpha Online with me? Or why don't you come, I know a lot of Alphas meet at bars or outside of churches to make it a little bit more inviting. So you can just say, hey, why don't you come with me to this course? So they would start with you, and then you would say, hey, let's go to this thing together. Those are the two ways they could end up at an Alpha course.
Hey, can I just jump in? Everybody, I apologize for being late. We're actually at church tonight. We have a big church family gathering. So food has been served. And so, you know, when you have church and you have food, you got to take advantage of the food.
That's right.
Jonathan Leith, I'm the pastor, one of the pastors at Converge Church in Morristown, New Jersey. We're part of GLUE. We are all on board with the He Gets Us campaign. I've had the pleasure of meeting Bonnie, the Mid-Atlantic executive director of the Alpha Mid-Atlantic, and just phenomenal. And Randy had a chance to connect with him because we're connected with GLUE. I will tell you, being a part of this and receiving these explorers is really exciting. You're going to hear some things, and people are going to be dealing with situations that you're going to say, wow. Real quick, I had a guy who just got married, and him and his wife were trying to have a baby. They found out they were pregnant. He was so excited, was telling some of his church friends. She didn't like it, and she wanted to have an abortion. And so he reached out to us. He's like, guys, this is what's going on. So we had a chance to talk, and I'm waiting to hear what the outcome was. But something like that, these people that you're going to get, they're dealing with stuff that, you know, it's going to be kind of out there. But what I've told our team, and what will be reiterated through the training and through Bonnie, is just love on them. They're reaching out. They need help. They're dealing with so much. And so we are there to introduce them to the conversation of Jesus. He Gets Us has done a lot of the heavy lifting. They've got to come through the internet portal. And so our job is just to connect with them. Some of them are going to be one-timers. They'll hit because of an emotional feeling or whatever. The commercial may hit them at the right time, and they'll reach out, and you'll reach out to get more information. And then that's it. You won't see them again. You can try to reach out to them again. They're like done. But then there might be those that enter into that conversation. And these are the ones that I believe the Holy Spirit is kind of inspiring them to continue the conversation. So, I mean, Randy, is that kind of what, what you guys are seeing with people who respond?
Yeah, I think you're right on it. It actually kind of reminds me of the parable of the four soils that Jesus talked about,
Right.
that, He Gets Us is really scattering this seed. And some people in the moment are like, man, I'm really broken. I'm hurting. I want some direction, but that seed gets swooped up, and you're like, man, where did this explorer go? I thought our conversation was great. I want to encourage you not to get discouraged with those, because it's that fourth soil when it germinates and you get to see a life transformed, to just keep pushing through that. So just know that it's, you're going to have some explorers where you'll respond and they'll never respond back. You'll have some explorers, you have some good conversations and feel like, hey, this is really going somewhere. Then they ghost you, and then others will be really transformational. So it's a good word. I think for the sake of time, I'll move on to a little more of the training side of this, if you guys are okay with it.
Yeah, and Randy, I think this will get into also there was a question from Greg that wondering how as explorers respond to the information on their device, how does that interface with the local church? So I think this is what you're going to get into, and as how the mechanics of it works, that magically we find out about who the explorer is and how do we then respond to them.
Yep. So I'll jump back to these slides here. When someone goes to the He Gets Us website, there's some different things that they can read. There's some more videos they can watch. But when they say, hey, I'd really like to connect with someone, we ask them for just a couple simple things. Originally, we were asking all kinds of things to try to help the churches or people responding to them to have more information. And what we found is the more we asked people, the less that they were willing to share their information. So we just ask for first name, last name, email, phone number, postal code, so we know which is the closest church to them. And then we ask them, just tell us a little bit about what you're going through. So we'll take this, and then the algorithm will figure out what is the closest participating church. And then you'll see, it'll pop up in two different ways. If you're on your computer and you log into your Glue account, you'll see there's kind of 4 different words to navigate here. All of your explorers will be under this reach idea, and there'll be an inbox here. I'm going to go into it in a moment, but this is just what the desktop looks like on your computer. You can also download the Glue app for your phone, which I would really encourage you to do, because you can respond a little bit quicker if an explorer is assigned to you. What we found is the quicker you are to respond, the more likely that you'll catch them in that vulnerable moment when they're wanting help, when they're wanting direction. So I would encourage you to go to the App Store, either Google or the iPhone App Store, download Glue, and you'll see all of your explorers right there. So I'm actually going to leave this slide and go to this is my actual Glue account right here. So this is the home page. When you come in here, you'll see some different things that he gives us you can get involved in. But right here on the right is some challenges for you of just setting your account up. It'll ask you to claim your phone number. It'll ask you to add team members. There'll be a bunch of things to just kind of set you up for success.
I went to the
You
app
can do
store.
that there.
No, go to,
Oh, Safari?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's your,
I'm going to ask everybody to mute just so we're not distracted. Thank you. So this is going to be your Explorer inbox. These are not actual people. This is just a demo account. So I'm not breaking any confidentiality or sharing anybody's stuff here, but you'll see I have 7 explorers here. It'll say if it's brand new, if it's unassigned, if it's had contact. These will kind of let you keep track of who have we responded to, who hasn't been responded to. This little icon here where it says rematched. We give you about 48 hours to respond. And then if you haven't responded, then we will pass them on to the next closest church, so that explorer doesn't get missed. So if you see rematch, that's there. When you click on the explorer here, you're going to see their name, their email, their zip code, and then the ad topic that they responded to. So this ad was about anxiety. When we asked them what's going on, they wrote, "I'm very anxious because I'm out of work with no income and need someone to talk to." So you can click the status here. I'm in contact with them, fully connected, or they've disconnected if you want to keep track of that here. This is where you're going to respond. You can type your own response here, or what's been really nice is that we have these conversation prompts. So if the person is dealing with financial needs, we have 4 prompts that are already written, that are empathetic, that are encouraging, and you can take those and you can cut and paste them. You can use all of it, you can use parts of it. If someone's dealing with a job loss or anxiety, you can click any of these and have some type of a foundational message, so you're not starting from scratch all the time. I'm gonna stop right there because I moved through a lot of things. If you have a question, go ahead and unmute and you can ask me. I'll wait a second or two and then I'll keep going if there's any other questions. Okay,
Hey,
good.
Ron,
Oh,
I don't have a question, but someone did reach out to our church and asked us. It was around Thanksgiving. They said, "Where can we get a meal? Can you give us food?" And they said also, "Can you give me toys for my children?" And so they were they were planning ahead for Christmas.
Yeah.
So you will get a lot of different people because they know, well, I don't know if they know it's going to go to a church, but those are some of the other kind of questions or responses we got to.
Yeah, we do have, you're bringing up a good point, Pastor. We've found there's a website called Help Finder. Many churches in town are connected and they know what everybody offers, but oftentimes there's some really great resources, right down the road from you that you're not aware of. So Help Finder is a website that you can go to if you don't know where a food pantry is, or you're not sure where to get some of those resources. So that's a good one as well. One other thing that I want to point out here is if you're doing this with a team, whoever's administrating it can go, see how this one says unassigned? You can go in here and assign it. I'm drawing a blank on how to do it. Are you working with a team, Jonathan?
I am. Let me see if I can, my team, I'm sorry, but my team is actually handling that.
They're doing it for you.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I can figure it out. If you want to
Oh,
come back,
here's where it is, right here.
there you go. Yeah.
So next to it, if it hasn't been assigned yet, you can click a person.
There you go.
And if you've added your team, these are all the different people that you can assign it to. If I assign it to Ashley, it'll send her an email saying, hey, you've been assigned an Explorer. Then they can come in and they can see, oh, I've been assigned to these and I need to follow up with them.
So this is the actual place where we'll see and connect with the Explorer. Is that right? It's on this Glue app.
It is, yes. Originally, we were giving churches and individuals the phone number and the email. And what we found is a couple things. One, email feels really cold and corporate and it gets buried in spam. So we weren't getting great responses on that. And then when people would call, I don't know many people that like getting a call from a number that they don't recognize. It feels pretty invasive. But texting is kind of that in between where it's still intimate, but it's not too pushy. And you can explain who you are, how you got their number. But a lot of people said, I don't want to give out my personal number. That feels like people could call me or text me in the middle of the night. Like it just doesn't feel very safe. So we actually will give you a phone number that you can use or your church can use. That will show up on their phone like a text message, but it's not actually your personal number. And what I like about this is that, it just disappeared. Let me log back in. What I like about this is that there's some accountability there and some transparency. So you can see all the conversations. If someone's having a conversation that hits either a mental health situation or a theological question that you don't know how to answer, you can reach out and ask somebody else on your team for help. So I really like that for that reason. What you'll see on your account is right here, it'll say claim your account, or claim your phone number. It doesn't automatically give you a number right away. You'll have to go claim that. Once you claim that number, then you'll start getting Explorers.
I have a question.
Yep.
How long do you anticipate this texting relationship before you actually would invite someone to church or to tell them about or explore their interest in going to church? I mean, is that the goal, to have people come to church, or just share the gospel through the texting? Or
yeah, I think a lot of skeptical people are really testing to see, does this person really care about me, or are they just trying to get me to their church? So I would hesitate to lead with that too quickly.
well, that's why I'm asking, like, do you have an average amount of time that you see over the past 18 months the progression of that process. I'm just curious because it just seems, as important as the texting is in our culture, it just seems impersonal to me. Maybe it's my age, but what is the median age of participants of these explorers? I'm just curious.
Well, so like I said, the more data we try to ask them for, the less they're willing to give it. So I wish that I could say, yeah, our average is 33 years old or this or that, but we don't. We only know what they tell us. We can kind of tell. We're starting to run ads on TikTok and Instagram, which is generally a younger demographic, so we can kind of make some assumptions there. But if you think about texting, usually you don't. You text people that are in your inner circle, so it's kind of an intimate thing. So in some ways you're being able to just check on them and say, hey, I was thinking about you. Thanks for letting me pray for you. How is that thing going? So I would say, a couple months of just interactions. Pastor Jonathan, I know you've been doing this for a couple months. What have you seen?
Well, I mean, along the same lines of what you said, Randy, texting actually is very effective. And when you text people, the response to which you do it, you catch them right then and there. During Thanksgiving, I was at home. It already passed dinner time, and probably around like 10 o'clock, we started getting people to respond, because during holiday seasons, late at night, that's when the young people are texting. These ads are geared to that nun community, right? So they start texting. If you respond back to them right away, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can build that relationship. And you tell them, hey, I'm turning in for the night. Let's connect tomorrow. You're building that relationship. So at the speed of that will be when you want to introduce them to church. I had a guy reached out. He said he wanted to know, in his comment, he said, I want to know the real human Jesus. Texted him and he said, look, let's talk. He had a Catholic background, so he was already familiar with things, with church. After I got 2 or 3 days of texting, he actually came to our church. I invited him out. He came one time, then he came the next time, brought his daughter. And then he and we met at a diner and talked. This is not the norm, because out of the 198 people that we've been in communication with, he's the only one that I've actually had dinner with. But the goal is to introduce them to Jesus. Yeah. Let's get them into the kingdom first, and then the church be the last resort, because a lot of them, let's face it, they're turned off with church because of the politicism, the division, and all of that. They're like, I love Jesus, I just don't like your church. So that's what he gets us is trying to do. They're trying to, Jesus is cool, right? Yeah, some maybe fringe or whatever, but Jesus is cool. And then when they realize you're cool, then when they finally make that step, and then I guess, Randy, you'll tell them about the crossover people, that category, right? Because those are people who are ready to come to church. They're just looking for the right one. But you'll be amazed. That texting is cool. Then be led by the Spirit. The Holy Spirit may lead you after a few times. Hey, let me call you, because you got their number. You're building a relationship. This will be your spiritual son or daughter that you're leading through the process. So look at it like that. Yeah, it's good. I know we've been talking a lot about He Gets Us, but actually Glue has multiple outreach partners. He Gets Us is the most well-funded. It's the most visible because of all the TV ads. But as you'll see here, there's actually multiple partnerships that we have that are trying to, use digital resources to reach people. So Churches Care is one that is just focusing on felt needs. So if you think about when people are hurting in this day and age, they don't get in their car and drive to local churches. They pull out their phone and they Google whatever their problem is. Like, is it time for me to get a divorce? Why can't I sleep at night? And we've gotten to this point where we believe that Google knows all, and whatever Google puts on the front page is what we're going to find.
And so, like, for example, if you type in the word divorce, you're going to see 5 divorce attorneys on the front page, but you won't find a church until page 5 of Google. And who goes to page 5 of Google, right? So what Churches Care does is it buys the front page ad on Google around things like depression, anxiety, relationship struggles, loneliness. So you're catching people in those felt needs. Groundwire, you can read about all of these here. K-Love, if you're familiar with K-Love, they have a great call center where people are calling in for prayer all the time. And they do a really good job of caring for people in the moment. But when it comes time for those people to get connected to a church, they just don't have that relationship with churches. So they came to us and said, hey, we heard what you're doing with He Gets Us. We'd love to kind of pass some people on. The Luis Palau Association is doing some digital outreach. And then Crossover is one that is really marketing to people that move to a new city. Maybe the pandemic kind of disrupted their church involvement, and they're looking for, how can I get more involved in a church? How do I choose a church? This kind of helps there. So there's multiple explorers will be coming through this, not just He Gets Us. So any questions about that? I know it's throwing a lot at you.
Randy, I have a question. And
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's not specifically about this, and you may have addressed it and it flew over my head.
Yeah.
So can you clarify? So say I'm a seeker, I'm an explorer, and I go on and I want to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
And that comes our way to our team. Does that go to the team leader, and then the team leader has to make an assignment, or does it go to whoever's assigned to respond to those calls that day?
So you'll have an administrator that will go in and have to direct who's assigned. I don't believe we've built into the product yet like a timer, so that if it's coming in on Monday, it goes to Julie. If it comes in on Tuesday, it goes to Bill. We don't have that yet, but if that's feedback that would be helpful to your team, right down on this right-hand corner, you can write suggestions, or if you're having a hard time figuring something out, you can reach out to anyone on our success team.
Well, the reason I ask is because
Yeah.
as you shared, you're going to get different types of questions. And if we had different people on our teams who were more educated or more fit to answer that type of question, it would seem to me that if you only have this person, you might only have them for one text message.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody respond to them that has a little mental health or a little suffering background,
Yep.
you might be able to capture them long-term better than somebody who really doesn't match that assignment, and then you
Yep.
might lose them.
Yeah, and that's what I like about that model, and what I like about having the Glue app on your phone, because you can see the Explorer come in and think, oh, this would be great for Bob. I'm going to send it over to Bob.
Oh, okay, great.
But yeah, if you're only doing it through your desktop, then you're going to have a slower response rate. And what we found is if you can at least send a response within 15 minutes of saying, hey, thank you for letting me know that you're hurting. I'm in or I've got something going on. I'll check in with you tomorrow morning. It just lets them know, like, oh, there's actually real people that really care about me. And then you could reassign it to somebody else to follow up as well.
All right, thank you.
Yep, good question.
Randy, can you just speak to how do we get notified? Is it just through a push notification on our phone if we're using it on the app? And that's one question. The other is, how do we see multiple conversation streams? So I'm piggybacking off of Matt's idea, a question of if there's a question that comes up, an explorer that comes who has a particular need, and one of our responders is going to carry on that conversation with them, how do they keep track of that conversation versus the next one that comes in?
Yeah.
Those two questions.
I only remember the second one, so that's what I'm gonna address, and then remind me of the first one.
Okay.
So if there's multiple conversations with someone, let me see.
Or different someone's coming in, I would say. Probably.
Different people coming in.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see like, hey, Bob took these first 4 and then it was handed over to Julie. But you'll just see who is assigned to it. But if say Joy isn't, has been running with this and you're like, man, I got to get Pastor so-and-so in, you can reassign it to somebody else here and ask them to kind of pick it up.
But so it's there on the left, on the very far left. That
Yep.
we see, so like Derek Rogers, Giselle, it's a little small for me, Gina Payne, those are the explorers who are coming in.
Names of the explorers, these are the response team. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that if we just clicked on there, on any one of those names, then we could return to that particular conversation.
Yep. So yeah, if say you were assigned this to someone that has mental health, they could scroll through and see all of the conversation and go, okay, I see how this started. I see where this was going.
Okay.
Okay, I'm up to speed. Yeah, I feel like I can be informed now.
And then if you
Is that-
click on the next name down, David Webster, it's a different conversation stream. Okay.
Different
So
conversation.
how does
Yep.
that look on the app? Can you do it? Can you flip through the names as well on your phone?
You can. Yep, very similar on the phone.
Okay.
I can't show it to you right now.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a way to do it. I haven't figured it out yet. But
Just the concept. Okay.
Randy,
Yeah.
And then my other
I'm gonna-
question was, can you, how do you get notified on your phone if you're away from your computer?
oh yes.
How do you get notified? Because it's not really, does it ping you in any sort of way that you have a new explorer or new conversation?
Pastor Jonathan, you want to speak to that?
I'm actually, I'm on the app. I took a screenshot and I'm gonna see if I can upload what a screenshot looks like. What we found in the app, if a person reaches out to an individual, it actually says down at the bottom of that conversation, spoken to by, and it puts the person's name. The app, just like you get a text message, you'll see the little notification thing, say you got a text message.
Mhm.
We'll actually do that too. So let me see if I can, let me see, I'm gonna see if I can drop this into, okay, here we go. I think I can. Come on, I'm gonna grab you. I'm trying to put it in the, okay. Oops. Talk about technology.
Right.
But I would, and like Randy said, download that app. You can see everybody's conversation. And it's pretty simple. I mean, I think, trying to explain it versus just getting in and doing it. I think it's, you'll realize that it's, oh, here we go. Here we go. Boom. Okay. And I'm sending this to everybody. Can everybody see that in the chat?
Oh yeah, that's good.
So that's Alex, who Lee West reached out to. There's a longer conversation. This is just tail end. She's been talking to this individual since Monday. They sent a note at 2 a.m. on Monday. And Lee is a retired school teacher. She wasn't getting up at 2 o'clock to talk to this. So she spoke to her at 9:02 a.m. the next day. So this is a snapshot of the app. So you see sent by Lee, got the date and everything. And so the white box is our response. The gray is the individuals. This came in through Crossover. She is connected. You see the telephone number right there. That's what the app looks like. So download that app. And I think what I've seen if you're on the website itself, it'll put that little tag sent by, so you'll know who did it. And that's courtesy. I was looking over the conversations, and I will tell you, whoever the leader is going to be of the group that you have at your church, when you look at the comments, you may have to go to one of the volunteers and say, hey, I noticed you said this. You may want to, lead them this way. Don't say that, because you're going to be training them. and they mean well. I mean, what our person said, it wasn't bad. It just didn't, the message didn't correspond with what the person, what their need was. So you're gonna do the scriptures say, where there's a mess in the manger, the ox have been working. So as pastors, leaders, you may have to go clean up a few messes, but at least you know the oxen have been working. At least you know people are trying to do this. So all the pastors on here, I'll peruse through just to keep everybody honest. But yeah, so downloading that app is probably the best way, because
it's really a great discipleship tool, for people that are wanting to, live their life on mission, want to share their faith. Like we all kind of learn by stumbling through it, right? And how great is it to be able to have someone that's not looking over your shoulder, but just saying, hey, great job showing empathy. I think there's an opportunity to share scripture, or to offer to pray, and not just offer to pray, but write out your prayers, like to coach someone through like how to come alongside someone. So really great discipleship tool, as well as an outreach tool, I believe.
Mary Jane had a great question, I think really for you, Jonathan, trying to look at this from a pastor's perspective. So what is the shepherding that's involved, and problem solving, avoiding, or dealing with?
I think we probably get about maybe 5 explorers a day. So you're not going to be inundated, but after the Super Bowl, when the Eagles win, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just saying, I know the Eagles won't win, but
everybody's going to be happy in Philly, so you won't have any explorers, no problems. Everything will be right with the world.
Yeah, everything will be right. So from a pastor's perspective, my team leader, Lee West, we talk a lot. Lee's a mature saint. I trust Lee. When Lee first started, I would say, okay, Lee, as you build your team, make sure that they're just asking open-ended questions. One time Lee got a call or a text. The lady said her spouse, they had a fight and everything. And Lee said, well, you got to pray for your husband. The lady said, what do you mean? I'm married to a woman. And so, she had to like, oops, sorry about that. Hey, sorry.
Yeah, right.
You got to get all of those. And so I just told him, and Glue tells it gives you like the specific wording to say. It's really good. Ask open-ended questions. So why did you, what anxiety problem are you dealing with? How can I pray with you? Boom, that opens it up. And from a pastor's perspective, just encourage those that are on the team. Just encourage them with scripture. Psalm 23 is a great scripture. Give them, encouraging words out of Proverbs. Just something, put that word out there and let it kind of permeate. So just lead your network or your team leader. Just be in contact with them. We haven't had any problems at all. I mean, none. I haven't had to call anybody on the carpet. No, it was just gentle correction. But yeah.
Mary asked a great question about, do we need to be careful about our use of Christianese? And I think that's great. And I would just chime in and say, yeah, probably in the same way that we are as we lead Alpha, where we just speak like normal English, and we don't throw in all this sort of Bible terms that we're so comfortable with. And yeah, just an awareness. That's a great reminder, Mary, just to speak simply, isn't that what Paul said? He just spoke the simple gospel of Jesus. Great response.
And I think one of the great things about interacting with people that are outside of the faith or outside of the church, a couple things. One is we're reminded of how good grace is. I think oftentimes if we're so insulated by church people, we take it for granted, the community that we have, the truth that we have, the peace that we have, and walking alongside people that don't have that. It's a reminder of like, man, Jesus, you are so good. Like, I am so glad that I have this foundation, and I'm reminded of how people that don't have it, it's gonna break your hearts, and it's gonna make you be more aware of what they're going through. And It'll be, the more that you interact with people that are outside of the church, you're reminded of what life is like outside of it, and how to interact with them. These are great questions.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Bonnie,
Yeah.
I have a question. I just want to clarify everything. So once we would sign up our parish, our church, we then have to go look for other people within our parish to put underneath our parish to be accepting those phone calls, to be assigned.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. I wanted to show you how to add people to your team.
Okay, then
And
once
just-
we
so you
do
can
that,
just- you
once
can
we
just be
sign,
one person. You can just be one person. I
You
mean,
can,
okay.
there's nothing wrong with that. And as Jonathan said, Pastor Jonathan, they've been very active and they have like 5 a day on average. So some days
Mhm.
there's more, some days there's less, but you can do it alone if you don't have, you can get started that way. But it is,
Okay.
like Alpha, find somebody to come along with you. And
Yeah.
it's a great way
Well-
to meet somebody else in your church to make a
Well,
little.
Julie and I are on tonight, but if we also are getting ready to start a new Alpha this coming weekend. So if, as soon as we sign up our parish, that means we would start getting explorers sent to us right away.
So by default, it'll wait 48 hours and then start sending it to you.
Okay,
But you bring up some really good questions, some things I wanted to share with you in this settings tab. Over here on the left side, where it says explorers, campaigns, and then settings here. You can pause your status. If you're like, man, I'm going on vacation, or the Easter season is really busy for us, or something's coming up, you can pause it. And that way, when Explorer comes through, it can get passed on to the closest participating church. When you come back, you can make yourself active. So that's one thing here. You can give us the reason for pausing. That just helps us to know how you guys are doing. You can set up, I know I'm going to be gone for 15 days and I may forget to turn it back on. So you can set it up for indefinite, 30 days, 15 days. If you wanted to, right now, you're only going to get explorers within 30 miles of you. There are some churches that are like, I'll take people anywhere. So you'll get what we call national explorers from all over the country. We have some Spanish ads. So if you have Spanish speakers, you could turn this on to yes. But then this is a really nice, it's kind of like kinking the hose. If you're worried about getting, overrun with too many explorers, you can say, you know what, me as an individual, I can only handle 7 a week or 14 per week, or I'm wide open, send them all to me. By default, it's set at 14 a week, but you can change it there. That's kind of a new feature. The other feature I want to show you is how to add people to your team. So up in this right corner, there's this little settings tab. And over on the left navigation here, there's team members. All you're going to do is you're going to click invite team members. You're going to put in their name. You're going to send their email address. And then you can set what type of permissions they have. They can be an admin. They can just respond to explorers. They can view all the data. Some churches are using this for broader things. But you can set those, and then when they're done, you click the invite and it'll send them an email saying, here's a link to join the team. And when they join the team, they'll be connected to your account. Does that make sense? I went pretty quickly through how to add your team.
Why don't you show that one more time, just so we can,
Yep.
now that we've heard the words, we can see the steps and where it is, upper
Yep.
right, over to the left.
Yep. So here's the home page that you'll come into. Reach is going to be where your Explorer inbox is. If you want to set your settings here of pausing or anything, that's on this left notification here. If you want to add team members, it's up in the top right corner. Click team members, invite members, just name, email, permissions, and then send it out.
And this is being recorded, and with any luck, it'll be up within the next 24 hours on the Alpha Mid-Atlantic, 3 words there, YouTube channel. So you can go over that really slowly and just pause at any time you need to see any of
Yep.
those steps.
Speaking of, Bonnie, I want to show one more thing. I don't want to overwhelm anybody, but if you click this Discover tab here, there's a bunch of resources around He Gets Us. But as we were talking about people that are really hurting and how do we come alongside people with, minor mental health issues, there's a bunch of resources from the American Association of Christian Counselors that you can dig into to get certified, to get some training. So this is really, really helpful here if you're worried about that. Most of responding to explorers, I would say, is like having a paramedic mindset. A paramedic knows, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon. My job is to stop the bleeding and let them know that they're not alone, and to get them to the resource that they need. So oftentimes we catch these explorers in an emotional emergency, a spiritual emergency. And we have this paramedic mentality of like, hey, I'm here. You're not alone. I'm going to help you stop the bleeding if you're worried about suicide ideation, or you're worried about your relationship, or you're going to act out of fear and anxiety. Like, I'm just going to help stop the bleeding, and then let's help you find some resources together. I think if you can take that mentality into it, you don't have to have an answer to all the questions, right? You don't have to be a theologian, you don't have to be a pastor, but you can just be that paramedic that steps in the moment of hurt and gets them to where they need to be.
Great. And Randy, didn't you mention to me this week that there would also be additional emails that would come to us with just sort of some inspiration, some ideas, things you guys have learned along the way that can help us in, serve in this role better?
Yes, so you'll start getting some emails that'll come out in a sequence. One will be the first day, then 3 days, every couple of weeks, and it'll have articles to read, things to suggest for you to get the most out of this. But you'll also get an email from one of our customer success managers that will say, hey, do you want to get on a Zoom call? And I'll give you a little bit more training, and you can one-on-one, do a screen share together, and they'll walk you through how to set up everything, how to invite your teammates if you forgot, what I showed you because I was going too fast. They're really, really helpful.
I'm going to put down in the link in the chat again, in case you guys didn't see, if you joined after I put it up before. This is the link that we can all use to create our accounts. They kind of will link us all sort of with dotted lines as part of the same Alpha Mid-Atlantic family that way. But then you can, that's just, if you haven't used that, if you've already created your account without using that, no worries, they'll figure it out and know that we're all sort of connected with one another. But go ahead and copy and paste that if you think of anybody else that you'd like to invite to participate in this. Please do. If you have other friends, anywhere across the US, but certainly if they're in the, sort of Mid-Atlantic region, anywhere around Philadelphia. I don't think we have someone specifically in Pittsburgh. So out there, just any of the, the big cities around our area would be great. So feel free to share that with anybody that you know. We want to be able to serve as many people as we can with this.
Bonnie, I sent you a message. I'm confused about when we claim our phone number. Do we do that now?
Randy, can you answer that?
Yes, you can. Just let me do this. so the account that I have has already claimed its number. So it's not showing what it looks like when it hasn't been claimed. Does anyone feel comfortable sharing their screen, and I'll talk you through how to claim your number?
I can show mine, but I guess I'm not, Mary and I are at the same church, so I think Mary would be the one claiming the number. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary, do you mind?
I don't. Do you want me to share my phone or my iPad screen?
Let's do your iPad screen.
Okay. Do I know how to do that?
I don't know how to do it on an iPad. Is it up at the top?
Oh, wait, stop video, share content. Is that it? Share content? I don't have
know
any
if that's-
content.
How it works on at the bottom, do you have a green, does anyone know how it works on an iPad? I know it's different from a computer.
I claimed mine on our computer. I don't know how to.
Here, I'll show you where it will be.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward though, just to claim the number.
Yeah. So I gotta share. All right, so you're seeing, this is where your explorers are, right?
Mhm.
On this left side here, it says your phone number is 888-919-3389. If you just set up your account, it won't have that number there, but it'll say something like claim your number, start receiving explorers now. Once you click on it, it'll prompt you to grab your number, and then you're good to go.
Does it do that in the app also, or only on the, like on the computer?
I see it on my phone app.
You see it on your phone app? Okay,
Yeah, it says enter your mailing address and your organization's website.
okay.
So organization mailing address, so I put in Good Samaritans.
Yep.
And just confirming, it's one number per church, is that right?
One number per church, or if you're doing it as an individual, you could have the number as an individual as well.
So how, if you have 10 people on your church team, how would they each respond to explorers individually then?
So whoever's the admin for it would get prompted with the notification, and then you would assign it to them. And then when it's assigned to them, they'll get a notification that it's been assigned.
That's like us. Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
And Randy, does that notification come to us by text? Or by email?
It won't be through like your normal text. It'll be through a Glue app notification.
Okay.
Like if you get a Facebook notification
Yep.
or
Yep.
any other app that's on your phone, it'll have a notification just like that.
Gotcha.
Church of the Gold
Did that-
Samaritan.
Did that make sense for people who are thinking that they will be the administrator for a group? Did that make sense where to find access their phone number? Okay. If there are any, oh, thank you, Randy. So if you have any other questions, you see Randy's email is there in the chat, rlarson@glue.us.
Mhm.
That will be helpful for us.
When I try and put in the organization address, it keeps telling me to provide a valid address. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong there.
When you put it in, does it have like a little pop down of a similar address? next
Yeah,
to it?
it has organization address and then address line 2 optional. And I've tried putting it in both of those.
When I was doing it, it was a little janky on the phone. So when I got to the computer and I just logged in from there, it was able to select. I couldn't do it on the phone or the iPad, but you
Okay.
can select on the computer.
I'll
Okay.
try it on the computer later.
That's good to know. I'll look into that later this week of what got hung up.
Yeah. Done.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Mary just responded that it was easier to understand on the computer also, so.
Okay, good.
So good.
Could I ask if I would like to, I know you can sign up as an individual or you can sign up with the church.
Mhm.
Right now it's just me, but I'm hoping to get people on board with me. So if I sign up as an individual, could I later switch it to the church, sign up and have a team listed?
Yep, I'm gonna put another email in here. If you ever have, a technical question like that, you can email support@glue.us. And they'll either give you directions on how to move it around, or they'll go in on the back end and fix it for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, good question.
Could I ask one more question? There was
Absolutely.
something mentioned about billing, like the billing was covered or something. Would it be normally a cost to do this?
Yeah, so the truth is it's actually really expensive to do this. The technology is a lot, the ads are a lot. Part of our model is we go and we talk to Christian businessmen and women and say, hey, do you want to cover scholarships for the churches? The way that the scholarships work is they just go 12 months at a time. So at the end of that 12 months, you can decide if you want to re-up with us. A lot of churches will say, hey, this was really great. We really appreciate the scholarship. We want to pick up our own tab so another church can use the scholarship the next time. There's other churches that are like, hey, we love this. We just don't have the budget. And all you got to do is reach out to Glue again and just say, hey, do you have another 12-month scholarship? And we can pick it up. We have plenty of donors that want to help churches and individuals that want to get the good news of Jesus out there.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Mary.
Well,
Well,
this,
can I pray for you guys?
yes, please do.
Yeah. Jesus, we love that you get us and that you left the comfort of heaven to walk in our shoes and to experience what we're going through, and that gives us confidence as we pray to you and we seek you. Lord, we know that there are a lot of people really hurting right now in Philly that need to know that the God of the universe isn't distant or far off or mad at them, but that you care. And I pray for the people on this call, Lord, that you would use them, that you would give them just words of inspiration, that they would have empathy and compassion, that you, Holy Spirit, would guide them in when to be bold and when to be patient. I pray that they would have incredible ministry stories to share, and that they would be continually reminded of how good your grace is as they share it with people that are far from you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you everyone for joining tonight. And as I said, this has been recorded, so it will be up on our YouTube channel, Alpha Mid-Atlantic, 3 words, shortly. So just reach out if you have any questions, reach out to Randy or to me, and we will or to the support, and we will do our best to help you out. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Right.